All right. So, welcome to the Unicorn. We're talking about all things independent comics, specifically the deadliest high school comic book in the 80s, Rick Remender's Deadly Class. I'm Mikey.
I'm Rebecca.
And today, people, we are back at it again with our first bonus episode of the Deadly Class podcast. And today, if you haven't read the title of the video, if you just can't read, we're going to be talking about the Deadly Class TV show, the Deadly Class TV show that came out back in 2019, and yeah, because Rebecca and I have slowly been watching the show together when we even have the time, and because I talk about the show a lot because I love the show, and I wanted to share that love with somebody else, and it had to be Rebecca because she could tolerate it. So yeah, all right, Rebecca, I know I'm excited, and obviously I hope you're excited. And so yeah, we'll just get right into it. So Rebecca, right? Like as you were probably surprised when obviously we started reading the comic and all that stuff that there was a Deadly Class TV show. Right? Like were you a little shocked? Because like, have you heard of Deadly Class before we even started the podcast?
I had heard it before because, as you know, we're all friends with a bunch of nerds. So I've heard the name passed around. I might have heard it first because of the TV show, but I don't think I knew anyone who was actually like watching it. I think it was just one of those like random facts that I knew was out in the universe, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, I think because like I remember when the show was coming out, like I had no idea what it was, and granted, like I didn't realize it was. I did my research and realized it was, based off a comic book that was successful that I had no idea existed. So I was like, okay, like what's the deal here? But yeah, people, we're just gonna start off and be like, yeah, like there was a Deadly Class show? ? And I'll start the slideshow. I'll start the slideshow here. But yeah, there was a Deadly Class TV show, and it and I'll just go through a bit of like the fun facts about it. So it came out around in January of 2019. And then it lasted till March 2019. So it only lasted like around the whole season. Took around like a month and a half. And it premiered on Syfy, on the Syfy channel. And we'll go into how much I hate that channel and I hate that network. But yeah. And I don't know, for people that don't know, so it was on Syfy, and it was actually produced by the Russo Brothers. So the Russo Brothers, if people don't know, are the co-director, the directing duo that are behind like a good portion of like the MCU at this point. Debuted with Captain America: Winter Soldier, then did Endgame and Infinity War. So yeah, they had skin in the game. So they're the producers on this show. And another fun fact, which I don't know if Rebecca noticed when we were watching it together, but obviously, Rick Remender, who is the creator of the comic book, the co-creator of the comic book, the writer of the series, actually wrote a majority of the season. So he also got a writing credit on season 1. So yeah, it was a good time, and the fact that like the Russo brothers, come on, like with their they got skin in the game with the reputation. This show can't miss. It can't miss. And you have Rick Remender, who obviously is an amazing, talented writer. Who I was very impressed the fact that like he not only showcased how talented he is as a comic writer, but also can translate what he did in comics to television pretty well. I was like, listen, man, can't miss. The show can't fail. Like I don't even know why they didn't get a season 2 when the show premiered. Makes no damn sense. All right, but yeah, so that's pretty much like the fun facts of Deadly Class. In terms of like to give y'all some background knowledge, but yeah. So, Reggie, you said something? Sorry, you said something? Nope.
No, I'm good.
All right. So now we're just going to like okay. So Greg and I watched I think we watched the first 6 episodes or 6 or 7, and then I think you watched the rest on your own.
Yeah, we were running out of time, so I watched the last 3 on my own.
Yeah, that's fair. And so yeah, we're gonna talk about like listen, like I don't really have any bad things to say about it, maybe some nitpicks, but we're gonna talk about what makes Deadly Class great. What makes this show such a good show? And I personally think it's one of the most underrated comic book shows out there. Yeah, so I'll say this off rip just to start off that the fact that this show does a really good job of being as accurate to the source material as possible, and and I love the fact that, like, you know, from most of the episodes, obviously, like, there are episodes where they take some creative liberties to, like, you know, expand, to stretch out the story a little bit, because, you know, they only do the first 2 volumes in the series, which we have done on the channel, so shameless plug there. But they have to take time to expand that within 10 episodes, so they really do a good job of, you know, obviously having some creative liberties to, like, you know, pace out the storytelling, pace out the character development, but also literally doing a lot of the scenes of the show were literally taken verbatim from the comic book, and and comic accuracy in terms of plot, in terms of the casting, in terms of, like, I just appreciated that so much, and a lot of comic book shows do that these days. So that's one thing I'll say. So what are your thoughts on comic book accuracy? And also, you take appreciation to the pictures that I used for it.
Yeah, as far as being accurate, I agree with Mikey. It's pretty accurate. I mean, they, like he said, they do make changes. I don't want to say drastic changes, but some characters and moments are, like, different than they were in the comics. It's not exactly one-to-one, though it is pretty close. But I think the big thing is, when they do make changes, it never really feels like it leaves the spirit of the comics, and I feel like every change they did make only benefits the show rather than, like, hurts it.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, like, it's just, I thought it was so well done, and it's like, you don't really see that nowadays, especially, like, you know, the recent you know, Disney Plus shows that come out. Like, for the most part, they do take more creative liberties than being actors supposed to do, which is fine. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I know it's just nice to see a show, especially when it came out, like, you know, that was literally, like, you know, literally the comic verbatim. Because I remember when the first season dropped, I picked up the first volume and was so surprised on how accurate it was, page for page, scene for scene. I thought it was really well done. And yeah, so I mean, another point, just to move on, another point I want to make is the fact that, obviously, yeah, like, you know, in terms of, you know, the character development and the growth, I thought was very well done. I'm not saying that the comic was worse, but no, comic did a really good job with, you know, the way the characters interacted and grew with each other. But, you know, just because we had more episodes, we had 10 episodes to work with and to expand those first 2 volumes, I love the fact that, you know, we got to know a little bit more of these characters throughout the course of the story, and that involves those creative liberties that that Remender and the Russo brothers and the directors and so on took to expand the story of Deadly Class. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was really well done. And, like, I don't know, Rebecca, what are your thoughts on, you know, just the way they navigated the story? I don't know, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, this being a TV show, obviously they have more time to flesh out the characters. And I think one of my favorite things about this adaptation is it gives the characters we don't really care about, like all the villain characters, I guess, like Victor and Shabnam and Brandy, all of them, and even Chico, especially Chico in the show, they give them more time to talk and interact. And there are, like, moments where they're not being the bully characters, where they're just also being, like, other students and friends and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's really, like I said, an improvement over the comic, that we get to see these characters a little more humanized. I also really like that they introduce Lex and Petra into the group earlier, so they feel more like friends rather than characters that get introduced when they need to be relevant to the comic, you know?
Yeah, and they're more weaved in too. Like, they're a lot more involved, which I think it was great. And even there was some times where, like, for example, like, one of my favorite episodes, the Breakfast Club episode, the Breakfast Club homage. There was that one character, Jaden, that, like, oh, like, he was just a new character just for that episode. It wasn't in the comic at all, but, like, you kind of got had some moments in there where actually, like, you know, oh, like you actually cared about him for a little bit until they took him away, and it was like, damn. But, like, they do a good job of you know, making you care about the characters that didn't get a chance to, like, you know, get more fleshed out with in the initial intro to Deadly Class, like Petra, for example, and Lex, and obviously we get a lot more Chico. But yeah, I thought it was really well done. And just to move on to the third point, I'm like, the way they I mean, obviously seeing, you know, the comic, and obviously, you know, Wes Craig's artwork, you know, obviously amazing artist. amazing storyteller in terms of how he does this in Crunchyroll's best panels, I think, in comics is from Wes Craig. But just seeing how Syfy and Russo's and Remender, like how they used the budget to like actually make this world come to life. So I'm talking about the production design and all that stuff. Like I thought the production was so well done, especially in terms of like the look of King's Dominion and a lot of like the changes that they made from the comic to make King's Dominion feel like an actual real like place. I thought it was so cool. It made it very grounded because in the comic, like King's Dominion, like the way you enter King's Dominion is more like Hogwarts. It's like an underground school that like you have to go through various tunnels and pathways in order to get there. But in this version, in the live action version, it's obviously it's still in San Francisco, but it's kind of a school that's hidden in plain sight. Like it's surrounded by numerous city blocks so that it's kind of camouflaged in the city. I mean, it made it like a lot more grittier and a lot more grounded, which I dug a lot, and it set the tone for what the show is, especially when you watch it and see it in the first episode. Also like how they changed some stuff with like the graveyard is just it's not actually a graveyard, it's just the meeting place, which is on the rooftop of the school that these kids just nicknamed the graveyard. I thought it was really cool. And and some of the way they did like the classrooms and some of the various like different rooms and pathways in King's Dominion I thought was awesome. And it really like and not just that, but like all the other locations that we see when we go to Vegas, when we go to the fuckface manor, I thought was really dope. And like all the stuff like that, I thought the production design was killer. And you really could tell that like this show had a budget to it, which is like kind of one of the reasons why Syfy kind of gave it the axe. But yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are, Rebecca. What were your thoughts on the production, how they brought this world to life? I don't know what your thoughts on that.
Well, I think you really hit the nail on the head. It's amazing what Syfy can accomplish when they give a show a budget. But you can tell looking at the show how much love and care and passion was put into it. One thing you didn't talk about outside of the sets being pretty good for, I would say, the majority of the show. I can't really think of one that's bad that sticks out in my mind, but another thing they do here is they have these long sequences of animation, and most of it is based off the comic book art. There are some sections too, especially in the Vegas episode where Marcus is tripping the entire time, where they do some other creative stuff too.
It's stunning.
It is stunning. It's really impressive just how deep in, I guess, I don't really know how to phrase that, but they really put some work into their animation, and I think the end product is a really cool, really stylistically rich TV show.
Yeah, and like what, just to add on to that, like the fact that they even were like, yo, like we gotta give Craig his flowers and actually like use the artwork to tell the story of these characters like he did in the comic book by making basically pretty much like, I'm not even gonna say motion comics, they're just straight up just like animations, fully realized animation just within his style. I thought was very well done, and it kind of reminded you that hey, like it's still a comic book based show, it still have that comic booky feel to it. I thought that was great. So yeah, good point to make. But
yeah, anytime someone does their tragic backstory, we get an animation sequence.
And even there was one episode, which was I think the second to last episode, where they get more. They even add new stuff, some animations with Craig's style that we've never seen before. Like for instance, with Master Lin's backstory about when his sister Gal got taken away. That was a brand new sequence for the show. That when you realize it, you might think, oh, like as a first time viewer watching the show first rather than reading the comic first, you'd be like, oh, this is probably in the comic, but nope, it's not. They made it just for the show to keep that that comic booky feel to it, which I was like, that's impressive, and I respect that. But yeah. Overall, the I think that they brought the world to life to a T. Like I really want to know what listen, when we get Remender or Craig on the podcast at some point, I want to know what their thoughts on what it was like to see the world, realize what it was like to be on set, seeing everything come being built and come to life and all that. I don't know. That'd be really cool. But yeah. I thought it was really well done, and yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Besides what makes it great, I think we hit like most of the points. We're gonna talk about the characters in a second, in a bit. But Rebecca, just real quick, I'm gonna actually add this this little title card here, this little banner. But do you have any favorite episodes or like favorite moments that you want to talk about?
Like we were saying, the Vegas episode, it might be the best episode. It might also be one of the strongest issues in the comic, just because it's so funny and, you know, fun to watch all that kind of stuff. I think the last couple episodes, and again, I like watched them all at once. I binged them, so they kind of blend together a little bit in my mind. But those were all very strong episodes. Like, I finished those wanting to continue on to the next one for each of those. I think the first half is a little slower, so I think the second half does pick up the action a little bit, and, you know, like I said, keeps you want to keep watching. I can't speak today.
No, it's okay. But yeah, I mean, obviously we mentioned the Vegas episode because that was like one of our favorite moments from the comic. So like the fact that they translated that beautifully and accurately, that was like the most accurate. And we agree it's like the most accurate accurate episode from the comic out of them all. I think it was literally like done. Every scene was literally like the comic verbatim, and it was incredible. But I want to also say the Breakfast Club episode where they're in detention, because that wasn't in the comic at all, and that was one of those moments where like we wanted to make sure we have like a character moment that actually makes you care about some of these characters and continue that character growth. That was great because we got to know more about Chico, got to know more about Victor, got to know more about Petra, which was great, and their backstories and all that. It makes you care about these characters, makes you, you know, have a feels for them, you know, especially because there were moments where there were some close calls and later those characters about to get axed, and obviously, like, you know, they would be saved last minute, but like there'd be times where I'm just like, shit, like I don't want like Victor to bleed out, I don't want like Petra to die, I don't want like you know, Saya or whatever to die. Like it did a good job of, you know, with the writing, with Remender, with the writing and all that, in terms of like, you know, making you care about these characters. So that episode I really liked a lot. I think the last two episodes are really good. like the last two, especially like the finale, like, you know, when we have that mission in Fuckface Manor, that was really well done. Especially because like that last episode has a ton of action in it, like the most action out of them all, I think. From, you know, and and they do a lot of really interesting changes in terms of, you know, how they end the show, the way, like, you know, the volume.
I guess we'll talk about that more when we get to like Fuckface, but
yeah, that's true.
Change the ending a little bit, but I think it's a good change.
And yeah, I mean, also the first episode. I think the first episode is like one of my favorite pilots. Period. I like it a lot, especially really showcases, you know, how much of an edgy boy Marcus is. We'll talk about Marcus's edgy boyness and how it kind of changed a little bit in the adaptation slightly. But yeah, the Breakfast Club episode, the Vegas episode, and the last two episodes, for me, I think were my favorites. I like, but overall the show's fire. So that's all I gotta say. All right, anything else you want to say, Rebecca, before we move on?
I think that I'm good.
Alrighty, so yeah, we're gonna talk about, you know, my favorite thing I like to do when we do podcasts. Talk about some of the characters. Most of all, I just want to give, you know, a lot of these actors and stuff their flowers. Because I thought a lot of them killed it, and we'll get into it. But yeah, as we said earlier, the cast for this is near perfect. I think it's some of the best casting I've ever seen in terms of a comic book property, because the actors not only look exactly like how they're supposed to look like in the comics, but they really good job of not only, you know, following what their characters act and feel, and, you know, in terms of like their motivations like in the comic, but they kind of do a way to take some liberties to enhance that material and make the characters, you know, stand out a lot better and translate a lot better. So yeah, this is the give these actors their flowers episodes, because part of the review. But yeah, so we'll start off with the main character, our boy, Rebecca's Rebecca's comic book crush. I'll say. I'm just kidding. I'm just bugging out. But
he always does stuff like that. I like him. I don't like him that much.
I know. The moment, listen, you exposed yourself when you said that you love edgy boys. So
I
now
do like
that's
edgy
gonna
boys.
be the running joke. That's gonna be the running joke throughout the entire podcast. I just gotta do it. But
Can't have shit on this podcast.
But our boy, the lead character, the main honcho, Marcus, who's played by Benjamin Wadsworth. And I think this when I first watched the show like a couple years ago, when it came out, I didn't know who Benjamin Wadsworth was. Like I think this was like, to be honest, I think this is like his most like well-known role was his role as Marcus in this show. But here's the thing, right? Benjamin Wadsworth does even though we just talked about in the comics, like, you know, how Marcus is a character, and you know how much of a broken and how broken and how edgy this character is, and how much of an asshole he is, but like, you know, Benjamin Wadsworth fucking nailed this role. Not only does he look like the character, but like he portrays him to a T. He does the monologues, I think, perfectly well in this show. And obviously that's a nod to the showrunners and the directors, and obviously Remender writing. But I thought he did a really good job in this. Really captured, you know, the moodiness of Marcus. Marcus's, you know, how Marcus's, you know, fragility, his, you know, his false like bravado in terms of like, you know, how he is as a character in terms of when he gets this rep, how he navigates it, and how he goes through King's Dominion. I thought it was really well done, and you know, and I think he does a really good job of like, I think this version of Marcus, because there are some changes that they do make with the character in terms of, you know, some of the things that, you know, happens in the comic happen a lot sooner. Sometimes there's some things that he gets a lot more you know, instead of just being just asshole like straight off rip, like we do get the chance to actually like sympathize with him a little bit more before, you know, he starts making those mistakes that he's known for making in the comic. So I really do like that a lot. But yeah, Benjamin, bro, you fucking killed this shit. I liked it a lot. So yeah, Rebecca, what are your thoughts on Benjamin Wadsworth's performance as Marcus?
Yeah, he did a great job. His monologues, god damn it, they are edgy. Somehow Marcus is both more edgy and more sympathetic in this version.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the last couple episodes, I actually thought they weren't going to do the whole him being a cheater plot, because he was actually being like a pretty decent boyfriend, like for part of it. Obviously they did not, so we still get the karma of him shitting his pants after he cheats on Maria.
Oh man, don't get me started, because I watched that episode last night. Yo, and it's so well done. The way it's literally straight from the comic, like the whole him just waking up to finding him with Saya, to him running to the comic book shop, and they do a slow-mo like run, and he's just narrating and talking about how he fucked up, and it's juxtaposed with images of Saya and Maria. I thought it was amazing. I was like, this is amazing. Like,
yeah, that's another really cool visual sequence in the show too. If you guys ever watch the show, probably not.
No.
I don't really have too many thoughts on Marcus. He's pretty one-to-one with the comic, but I think Benjamin Wadsworth does a good job playing him.
Oh, most definitely. And it just sucks that like this is like the only role that he's known for. It's just, but listen, he killed it, and it's a great role. Like that he killed the role. He did a really good performance. But I'm just like, damn, bro, Hollywood, hire this man more, please. Like, I know he was on a Syfy show, and that kind of killed his career. But like, please, give this man more work. He deserves it. But yeah, I like Marcus. I like this version of Marcus a lot better than I do in the comic. Again, we get a lot more. We get a lot more better moments with him. They handle a lot of the crazy stuff with him a lot better in this, especially like his relationship with Chester. I love the fact that like, especially when we learn about the boys' home in this, I love how the way Benjamin, in terms of his acting, really showcases how much of a traumatic event this was in Marcus's life. Not only losing his parents, and obviously they stretch that along with like, you know, they elaborate more on like how he feels about his parents' death and how we see that changed him, but also how when he sees Chester in that elevator when he's tripping, which they didn't do in the comic, and you see the fear on his fucking face, being like, "Oh my god!" And then he bangs on the freaking door, like, "Oh my god, let me in! Chester found me!" Like I loved like just those moments like that. I'm like, "Yo, Benjamin, you killed this shit, fam!" Oh, it was so good. But yeah, I'm good. Do you have any more thoughts before we move on?
I'm good.
Word. All right. So we're gonna talk about, my opinion, the best character in this show, and you already know what I'm talking about, Rebecca. You already know. We're gonna talk about Wifey over here. We're gonna talk about, one of the most badass female characters in comics in the show. I think is our girl Saya, played by Lana Condor. Yo, best part of the show. Best part of the show. Not just because I'm in love, but like also, I thought Lana, because this was my intro to Lana Condor as an actress when this show came out. I didn't watch All the Boys I Love Before. I don't watch shit like that, so I was a pass for me. I'm sorry, but I don't watch shows like that. This was my intro to the character, was in Deadly Class, and literally obviously we praise a lot of Marcus, but about Benjamin Wadsworth as Marcus, but no, she's literally the character straight off the page. If the character came out of the page and walked off into the real world, it's Lana Condor playing Saya. Ridiculous, incredible. Like, it's just, I love Lana, what she did with this character. I thought she, again, not only nailed what the character's supposed to be like from the comic, but also enhanced that character to a T in terms of her performance. I feel like we learn a lot more, even though obviously she's still the mysterious Yakuza chick. Obviously, we don't really know a lot about Saya, obviously, which they nail. But I feel like we get a lot more hints of who she is, just in her subtleties and how she interacts with the characters, her moral code, the way she interacts with Lynn a lot, because we had a lot more moments of her and Lynn and they're establishing their relationship a lot more here. I thought it was really well done, and again, I want to see Lana Condor in more action roles because she kills the action in this. We're being robbed here. I think she could potentially be a really good action star.
I'm looking at her IMDb right now. Her first role was actually as Jubilee in X-Men Apocalypse.
That's right, because I remember X-Men Apocalypse. When did X-Men Apocalypse come out? Because I remember it came out around roughly the same time, I think.
That was 2016.
Okay, so a couple years before this. But yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. That was the only thing I saw her in. My fault. I retract my statement. I saw her in that first, and then they cut her scene out in the X-Men Apocalypse. So she had a whole scene where they're in an arcade, and they cut all of that stuff out. So yeah. Listen, this was a good reward, right? Right, Lana Condor? You were able to play one of the most badass female characters in comics.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting, though, her playing Jubilee, which, very minor role in that movie, and also being primarily known as, I guess, a rom-com actress for To All the Boys I Loved Before. I think that's a trilogy, but this was,
it is.
To me, at least, seeing her a very different role for her, and I thought she killed it, I thought she brought the right amount of badassery and stoicness, and also still being kind of cool and nice and that kind of stuff. She's not as scheming as a character as Sai in the comics is, and I think that humanizes her a little bit and lets you connect to her a little more early on, which I like.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna pull up a picture of her real quick as Jubilee just to see the contrast, because I forgot what the fuck she looked like. This is literally just this is night and day.
Rebecca. It looks like Jubilee,
yeah, look at her. Look at that. We were robbed. But that's crazy. The fact that it's so different. It's so different from what we see in the show. That pretty much is. I mean, you can find that deleted scene online. And I've seen it before of that scene in X-Men Apocalypse, but night and day. It really showcases her range as an actress. And obviously she's very talented. But yeah, I agree with what you said. I mean, yeah, she's a lot less a little bit conniving in this, which I think works a lot well. And I don't want to say it. I'm gonna say it because I love it. I love her Lana Condor and Benjamin Wadsworth's chemistry in this show from beginning to end. I think it's so well done. You can cut that tension with a knife. It's ridiculously good.
Yeah, especially in the first couple episodes, and we haven't mentioned this yet. Saya and Marcus, like, they establish as having a chemistry. Like, Saya's not just leading him on or like wants nothing to do with him. She's actually like kind of into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that change. I think that's good for, especially when Marcus does cheat on Maria, like establishing that early on that they've had this connection before he started seeing anyone.
Yeah, that's one, like when I remember watching the show for the first time, I was like, when they actually like get together, granted it's in the wrong circumstances and no one should ever cheat because that's not okay, but like I literally was like, yes, finally, because I was like, because they established it in the beginning and you could kind of see throughout the course of the show when like there are moments where like they're holding hands and they like lock eyes and you can see it like through their acting. It's like, yo, they want to be together, like and they really do a good job of like, you know, kind of giving hints to hints to that. And we see it in the comic too, where like Saya and Marcus, in terms of, you know, what they've gone through in their past and, you know, what the gone through their past now, like, you know, they have and their trauma into the character they are now, they kind of are similar to each other, and that's kind of what brings them together in a way, you know, in terms of like, you know, their chemistry and all that. But yeah, no, I love Lana Condor in this. This is my favorite role she's done. So, and I honestly think we're robbed because I do want to see her in more action related stuff. I think she kind of proved herself in the show to be a potentially like really good action star.
Yeah, she is one of, I would call her the lead female, but it would have been really cool to see her, especially in the later volumes of the comics we covered, like her as like actually like the leading actress, you know.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about how we were robbed. I don't want to. Oh God. Okay, but yeah, overall story is Lana Condor, Saya, 12 out of 10. She's incredible, and she's gonna be definitely like my favorite part about the show. And we'll talk about more stuff with her in terms of like the what we could have gotten in other seasons. But yeah, so to move on, next character, obviously the other love interest in Marcus's life, the who I'd say what people would describe as a little crazy, a little nuts. Would you agree, Rebecca? I don't know. She's a little
unhinged.
A little unhinged, but yeah, the unhinged Mexican queen, Maria, who's played by Maria Gabriela de Faria. Yo, also really good. Like, a lot of these performances are really good. This is the commonality between them all. I thought she did a really good job. Really good job. And the thing is, like, when we talked about it yesterday, or I think either yesterday or 2 days ago, I think when we watched one of the episodes, but together. But I do love obviously, like, they do really note that, you know, obviously Maria had a very troubled past, a very horrifying traumatic moment happened in her past in terms of the death of her family and how she got involved with the cartel with El Diablo and Chico, and she has trauma, and she became crazy because of it. And we talked about it before a few days ago, Rebecca, but I do really like the fact that they actually established that she does have a mental illness, because the change is that she's actually she has a bipolar disorder and is taking pills to keep that under control, and then she obviously ends up relapsing and not taking her pills, and it really affects the rest of her arc and throughout the rest of the story. But yeah, I thought that change, especially like we got more time with her establishing the relationship between her and Chico and how Marcus gets involved with that, I thought was really well done. And Maria does a really good job, especially showcasing that you know, that high and low altitude within Maria's personality that we didn't really get as much in the comic. And
yeah, especially the last half of this, you really see her like manic spiral as she becomes more and more paranoid and goes to greater lengths to avoid getting in trouble for killing Chico.
Exactly, right? I mean, and it's wild because like it's yeah, like especially when when she kills Chico, and obviously, like, you know, and we talked about earlier how Marcus in this show is actually kind of a good boyfriend in this one in the show,
He's ever so slightly better here.
Ever so slightly better, and we really get to see how, you know, not only does Maria, you know, try to, you know, cover her tracks in terms of not only protecting herself from El Diablo, but also her friends in the process, and how that kind of affects, kind of gives her a sense of paranoia throughout her course in King's Dominion going forward. But, you know, also, you know, how, you know, she, like, you know, is protecting how the friendship reflects her relationship with Marcus, and having that question, like, does she really feel for Marcus? Does she not? Is it just the bipolarism talking? Is it just, you know, what, another factor going on? It makes Maria a really unpredictable character, and I love that a lot. So, and yeah, especially because that last two episodes, and I want to mention with Saya as well, because remember in that volume at the end, Maria was like, yeah, fuck you, fuck everybody, I'm good, like, I'm just gonna do my own thing. Saya and Maria do that literally around the same time in that episode, which wasn't a thing. It was only Maria's being like, fuck the rest of y'all, I'm good, I'm just gonna worry about myself and nobody else. So
yeah, I think we should also mention too that, like, the episode prior to that, Saya and Maria do try to kill each other.
Yeah, and they handled that beautifully. I love, because that's my favorite ending in that issue, when Maria is just like over Saya's head while she's about to get killed, and is like, you fucked him, didn't you? And the way they did it,
I wasn't even talking about that. I'm talking about when they're like, gangs are trying to get them to kill each other, and they're like, okay, fine.
Oh yeah, okay, fine, yeah, that's weird, yeah. But and yeah, also just like, I also love her friendship with Saya from the beginning, and how, you know, Saya really acknowledges that, like, hey, you're in a fucked up relationship with Chico. You might want to, like, get out of that. And how, you know, Maria kind of is trying to just is the victim in an abusive relationship, that she's like trying to just, you know, just let it happen, bide her time so that she can find a way to get out. And I thought it was really well done. And yeah, like, it's that Maria was just well handled. I loved her a lot. And also, Maria Gabriela de Faria also should be an action star. She also does a really good job with the action in the show as well. I thought she killed it. Also, obviously, if you see me doing these slides, I'm gonna say this off rip. The promotion for the show was so well done, and we were robbed, because I love that I'm at both these character posters and these photos here, but I thought they translated Maria's look. I mean, which is like most for all of them perfectly. I thought Maria Gabriela de Faria looked incredible as, like, in her assassin getup. I loved it. Like the Dia de los Muertos makeup, the outfit with the corset, the flowing dress, the fan, I thought was dope. And seeing Maria and the way they choreographed her fighting style, how graceful she was, it was, every time she fought, it was kind of like she was dancing in a way, which I thought was well done. So I just want to make that note real quick. But yeah, any more thoughts on Maria before we move on, Rebecca?
I'm good.
All right, so we'll move on to the next character, our boy, our fellow hood rat, our homie, Willie, who's played by Luke Tennie. And yo, I love Willie in this, bro. Willie's fire. He like you. I feel like we get a lot more time with Willie outside of King's Dominion than we do in the comic, which I thought was really great to really showcase, you know, his character. And one of the biggest changes that they make is the fact that Willie, the origin of Willie's backstory, you know, why, because in the comic, he wasn't really about, I mean, he kind of, like, they said he was kind of like, he got pacifist vibes, but he was really more about, like, he didn't want to, like, kill people. He didn't mind fucking nobody up. He would fuck a motherfucker up, but he didn't want to kill anybody. In this one, they make him a straight pacifist. I don't want to deal with violence, none of that, because of what happened with his dad, and the fact that they do the second twist with his dad's origin as the original motivation of why he's a pacifist, where he grabbed the gun, shot, and due to the kickback, he accidentally killed the people that were after his pops as well as his own dad. It was a lot better in and this I thought it was a really good change that they made with this character. And yeah, I thought Luke did a really good job and really showcased, the fact that like, yeah, Willie doesn't want to be here. Like his mom sent him there to be a man, and he's just like, he has this rep he has to maintain and showcase the importance of like how a rep allows you to survive at King's Dominion. And it's just like he did a really good job, especially those moments where especially when the moment where in the first episode where Marcus and him go on that homework assignment, and Marcus ends up killing Rory at the homeless shelter, and you see the fear in Willie's eyes, being like, holy shit. Like I thought, and he did it throughout the course of the whole show. I thought it was really well done. And yeah, what are your thoughts on Willie, Rebecca?
Yeah, I like Willie. I liked him in the comics. I like how here he's a little bit more visually a tough guy than Willie in the comics is.
Mm-hmm. He's big. He's a big dude.
He's big. I think he might be bigger than Victor in this.
Maybe.
We were talking about that. This is a side tangent. We were talking about how Victor in the TV show doesn't look bulky enough to be Victor from the comics. But
yes.
Anyway, they make a couple changes with Willie. Like you said, they give him the second backstory right off the bat, so you know right away that he did kill his dad. He wasn't just a bystander in that incident. Another change they do with him is they give him a girlfriend.
Great.
I don't think we really need. I don't know if you have a slide for her character. I don't know that we really have that much to say about her, because she's just there for Willie's development and to get him to leave Kings, basically. And going off of that, the biggest change they make with Willie, he's not in the final battle. He leaves King's Dominion with his girlfriend, and we don't know what happens to him after that.
Exactly. Which I'm just like, damn. And I realized I forgot to put that in my slides, but I guess we'll talk about that now. That was, I don't know if I like that or not. And they really like I don't know if I like that or not. Like I thought it was a really cool twist, and obviously like it's a really good way to like showcase what they're gonna do with his character in another season. But like I was like it's a cool concept to work with. The fact that he's gonna leave King's Dominion a little earlier than expected. I was like, like that's a kind of a cool angle to take with his character. And I did like his relationship with Gabrielle from the stuff that we did see of them together and how they met and all that was really cute. But like, it's really interesting to see Willie have a motivator to leave Kings before Marcus and before the final exam. Like I thought that was really interesting. So that's a good point to make, Rebecca.
Yeah, and I guess just to expand on that a little, his final scene is him and Gabrielle. They're at a gas station. They see a guy and his family getting mugged, and they just drive on. So if I had to guess, I'm assuming Willie's arc in the next season would have been learning that you can't be a pacifist all the time, that you have to stand up for other people, but we never got that, so who knows?
I personally would have just talked about what I would have liked to see. I would have personally also would have wanted to see in another season the fact that he can't really hide from his past and who he is, because he said he was going to move out to LA. Last time I checked, the First World Order is within the LA area. Like, they're like, like the Bloods, the Crips, the Crenshaw Mafia type vibes which his mother runs. So I would like to see, some of the First World Order people, people actually come after Willie due to him escaping from Kings, and maybe seeing his mom for the first time. And obviously because we hear him talk about who his mother is, we get little tidbits about who his mom is as a person, and how that's affected him growing up, and how he entered Kings. That really cool, interesting to see him actually come face to face with his mom and see if she's brutal, if she's a loving but yet brutal mother. Like, I don't know, that'd be really cool to see. It sucked. I don't see that. But yeah, overall, I thought Willie was really well handled, and I love I love how, again, showcase that like he, like you said in how he's in the comic, he is like the heart of the show, and actually is kind of one of the moral compasses in the show as well. I think, along with Billy as well and Saya. So, but yeah, I thought it was really well handled, and the change I think worked better for his character. I think it was a good job. I don't know what else you got to say on Willie, but that's all I got to say.
I think that's it.
All right, so move on to the next one. I mean, is he a little unhinged? No, he just has daddy issues and a little bit of trauma. But our boy Billy, played by Liam James, I loved him. Like, it's just, not only does he look like the character to the T, I think he is. I think along with Syfy, he's like one of the most accurate looking characters, in terms of how, especially how well he pushes his performance. But yeah, I love Billy in this. He's one of my favorite characters. He gets a lot more time to shine, in the adaptation than in the comic book. We get to learn a lot more about him in this. They expand a lot more on his backstory. Some of the changes that they did make was the fact that like he did come from his dad is still a career cop who's neck deep into the mob and debt. That's why he's in Kings, but also the fact that he has a little brother that he is looking out for at the same time, and it will do whatever it takes to protect him, his brother, as well as his mom, from his dad's assholeness. I think was really well done. And the big change that I liked with Billy is that he's the introduction to Marcus on how Kings works rather than Shadman. And I thought that was really well done as well. But yeah, man, Liam James did a really good job showcasing like the pain and the trauma of Billy and how that kind of leads into why he's so like wanton and so like kind of like dumbfounded and free and like very like happy-go-lucky all the time. And it's just like it's really well done. Like you really feel for him as a character in terms of like how sympathetic he is, and just like damn. And it's unfortunate because like a lot like his situation that from having an abusive dad and from an abusive household, and is something that a lot of people couldn't relate to in real life. So I think in terms of that, I think Billy to me is in the show is the realest character out of them all. I'm just like it's that's all I got. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say to start off. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Billy, Rebecca, and Liam James' performance?
I agree with everything you just said. I love Billy in the show. I think he might be my favorite character. Mm-hmm. He's really fun to watch, but at the same time, he really nails those more serious moments when he's like comes back to Kings and he's like beaten up from his dad and he's just sobbing. Like Liam James plays that role very well. And they also give him like much more of a relationship with Petra, and also to a lesser extent Lex in this, that I really like. And again, this doesn't happen in the show, but knowing what happens to him in the comics makes that hurt a little bit more.
Oh my god, yeah. And especially like when you talk about him and Petra, you really do see that like when you see this man get like his heart broken at that party when Petra is too afraid to get close to anybody to the point where, like, she's like, I'm just gonna like have sex with Victor, who clearly like had it out for Billy in the first 2 episodes.
I just want to say in the show, he is willing to have a threesome to get with Petra.
Right? Listen, Billy is a real one. He plays, and listen, as I said, he plays the long game, and the long game works because at the end of this fucking season, he's literally just like Petra, like they have a moment at the Fuckface Manor where like Petra and him might like have a connection with each other. I was like, yes, like Billy.
They almost kiss.
Almost, right? Like it's really well done, and yeah, like it's just listen, like Liam James not only can show the vulnerability of this character, but also show how funny he is. Like I love the way he interacts with Marcus, and I think their friendship together is like some of the best stuff in the show. I love their interaction with each other. The fact that like Lex and Petra were the rat underliers first before Marcus got there, and it seemed like they have a history together at Kings. I thought it was really cool and seeing the relationship. I forgot about the threesome because that's kind of skipped that episode. But
that's like a B plot for the entire episode. They keep coming back to that.
But yeah, I thought that was great, and yeah, man, it's just like he just killed it. Liam James again, like Hollywood, give this kid more work, bro. He's talented. He's extremely talented. Like it's just like the moment where we saw this man kill his where his dad died, and knowing after all the shit his dad did to him, this man breaks down in tears because at the end of the day, and I love how Mark did it with Marcus too, how Marcus is so high, he sees Billy as a little kid over his dad's body. Yeah, like even though, like Billy deep down, you know, even with all his trauma, still is cares about his dad and is a little kid deep down that like has these daddy issues, and it's just it broke my heart. I was like, this is too, when I first watched it, I was like, this is, and Liam James sells that in his performance, and I was like, it was so, dude, so well done, so well done. But yeah, I'm overall, yeah, he's one of the best characters in the show. He's phenomenal, and it would have hurt a lot to see his character go whenever they got to that, if they were in future seasons. But yeah, it's good stuff. You good? So we'll just move on, Rebecca, if that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the next character, and this is the last one out of the main characters. We'll talk about the other characters like together if we have any more thoughts. But yeah, the actual like, you know, high end actor who I was surprised when the show was announced that he was going to be in this show after his come up within the MCU and all that, and obviously the Russo Brothers. So it makes sense why he'd have that connect to become a part of the show. But yeah, our boy Wong, Benedict Wong, who plays Master Lin in this, and I feel like, Rebecca, I don't know about you, but he gets the most changes to his character out of everybody, and it works a lot better than the comic does. I love Master Lin in this. Love him.
So in the comics, Master Lin, I think it's fair to say he's a bit of a stereotype. You know, he's an ancient Asian dude teaching these kids how to be assassins, you know?
Yeah, it's very, yeah, it's teeny bit racist. Teeny bit. Like,
we'll leave that to the comments to decide how racist it actually is. But
yeah. True.
So obviously they made a lot of changes here, I think for the better. Master Lin, as you can see, played by Benedict Wong, is a lot younger. His
dashing
character
man.
is, what did I say?
He's a dashing man.
Oh. They make the most changes to him here. He's like the younger guy. He's trying to make changes to the assassin school while still, you know, running an assassin school. And to balance out like what's missing from his character, like the ruthless, scheming person, they give him a sister who's also an assassin and also a little bit of a girl boss. I'm not gonna lie. And also importantly, in this, they give him a tragic backstory where his wife and daughter died, or did they? Because we find out later that they're actually alive.
And that they make, and because of that, they make him a lot more sympathetic, and you actually do care for him as a person. And again,
he has
I think
to lose here.
Exactly, and I feel like they do. That's the whole thing with each of these characters, that like even the principal at the Deadly Assassin School has trauma and issues that he has to work through, and I like that a lot. Yeah, I thought Benedict Wong. I mean, listen, we know Benedict Wong. He's an amazing actor, great actor, great character actor. I thought he did a really good job in this, really good job. And the fact that, like, you know, a lot of these changes that they made to his character benefited the most. I do love the fact that, like Rebecca said, even though he does believe in the school and like what it can do to change society, but again, he understands the fact that like how classist everything is, and the fact that, you know, we have the guild to worry about as well, and, you know, how they run things, and is a part of the problem, and is affecting the school's potential. And I want to note this too. One of the professors that in the show was also one of my favorite like minor characters, who teaches the poison class. I love that moment where they're having that conversation about how, you know, the idea of, you know, the different like affiliations within the school, and how, you know, how they're more of the problem, but more of the rats in the school that come in with fresh meat how he deemed to have more of an impact in our world than they do, because they're mostly than the affiliates, because they're mostly just going to be going back to their respective organizations to carry out their own their organization's selfish needs, while the rats, and we see, you know, with Marcus when we introduced to him, you know, wants to kill Ronald Reagan, and obviously we know how bad Reaganism was. And Lex talking about how he wants to change the world with a bullet. They have more of an impact then they'll have more of a societal impact than the kids that have legacy credit. I thought that was really well done, and how we get teases to the final exam a little early on, and how they were crumbling that in with that conversation. And yeah, I thought that was great.
I just want to highlight too, building off of that, there's a moment in I think the second to last episode where Lynn is torturing Marcus, but Marcus points out that like Lynn in some sort of way is rooting for the rats because they're what he used to be.
Which is completely different from the comic, because Lynn doesn't give a shit about the rats. And yeah, and I do, and add on to that, I do really like his chemistry with Marcus. Like we in the comic we get that thing. We were talking about it as well when we were and I have it in our Deadly Class clip that I'll put a link to. But Marcus believes that Lynn sees himself in him when he inducted into King's Dominion, which completely was a lie because Lynn doesn't give a fuck about Marcus. But in the show, we really do get to see when they have conversation with each other, that Lynn sees Marcus as a younger version of himself, and we see more of a mentoring role as well with Marcus in the beginning. But he's still a little schemy because obviously has Saya be Marcus's pledge and all that. He's still being scheming behind the scenes, which is still true to the character, which again I love how they still stuck to that a little bit, dumbed it down but stuck to that a little bit.
It just feels here like he's more rooting for all of the kids.
Yeah, which is what a good principal should be doing, even if it ends in a deadly assassin school, And yeah, I mean, we'll talk about Gao in the next slide, but yeah, I thought Benedict Wong did a really good job. Also, really good action as well, which we've seen him do in previous roles he's done. And yeah, but yeah, like he pretty much is rooting for all the kids, even though, and also the fact that I love how he interacts with. We get to introduce El Diablo, how he is in terms of like showing that relationship between how a school faculty member will deals with the parents that go to the said school, and how like he's trying to make sure that like nothing gets out of hand, make sure that everything is in control because it's in his favor, and and also it values his reputation. I thought that was really well done too. But yeah, overall, man, Benedict Wong. Listen, we know you got the most paid out of everybody, and we can tell because you kind of killed it. But yeah, that's all I gotta really say. So we want to move on to the other characters.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Also, just want to say real quick, I'm just loving these. Like the images on the left, whoever took those photos, you fucking nailed it. I love these promo shots for these characters a lot. Like they're dope. But yeah, so we'll move on to some of the other characters, some of the side characters, and all I really have to talk about, and we'll talk about these openly. We don't have to go in order, but yeah, so we have obviously Chico, Petra, Lex, Victor, Shabnam, Brandy, and then also added like Miss DeLuca in there as well, and also Gao. So yeah, Rebecca, I want to let you start off. What do you want to say anything about some of these characters some of these minor characters?
Yeah, so I don't really have anything to say about any of the individual characters. I think they all do a good job with their roles. Like I said earlier, I like how the show makes a little more time to make some of these lesser characters, especially the people who aren't Petra and Lex here, a little more fleshed out and a little more like they're part of the, the class, I guess. The teachers, I also think they do a good job. They're like funny to watch. Like you said, Gal, girl boss, love her scheming. I love how, especially because you can't really talk about her without talking about Master Lin, because they're kind of like two sides of the same coin.
Honestly, I personally think that they just took the scheming stuff from Master Lin in the comics and just made it a new character with her.
Exactly. But I like how, like I was saying with Master Lin, his like fake tragic backstories that his daughter and his wife died. And for her, like, her son actually did die, and she tells him to his face, like, I can tell, like, you're lying to me, and, like, she goes after his daughter and all this, and how she's kind of taking out her trauma from becoming an assassin on him, and I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I kind of just remember, too, like, I do like the fact that, like, when she said that she's going to induct, his daughter into the guild to protect her, I was like, I don't know if this is cap or not. I don't know if you're actually doing this because you care or if you're doing this because you just want to get back at your brother. And I kind of like how.
Well, when she takes his daughter, he goes, "She's not ready," and she goes, "Well, neither was I."
Yeah. So. Yeah, she kind of really showed her true colors there, and I want to shout out the actress Olivia Chang. I've seen her in other stuff. She's in the show Warrior, which is one of my favorite shows out right now. She's in the show C as well, which like no one watched that show, but it's an amazing show. She also saw her in Marco Polo. That was the first thing I ever saw her in, was Marco Polo on Netflix way back. That was like when Orange is the New Black came out for the first time. She's incredible. She's an amazing actress. And I really thought that like she killed the role of Gown, like, having that scheminess nature, and the way as well she played into like, having her own double agents of her own, along with, having Shabnam and Brandy and Victor under her rope, but at the same time, Victor and Brandy really had, the allegiance of Master Lin. Was really well done. So yeah, I want to give her flowers. Real quick, I want to talk about, our boy Shabnam, our mastermind. Real quick, I really like Shabnam in this. I'm not sure if I like this version of him more than I do like, or which one I like more, him or the comic, but I do like the fact that, they do a really good job of peppering, showcasing like his relationship with being Marcus's roommate a lot better, a lot more in this. I appreciate that a lot, but also the fact like they do really pepper in the fact like, yeah, everyone fucking picks on Shabnam and takes advantage of this kid. But like this kid, low key, he's gonna shake things up when he gets the opportunity. Like I really see the way this kid, I don't have the actor's name, but you can really see that like, nah, like he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's a fucking snake, and like, it's just I really like the way they pepper stuff in, especially like, the reveal that like, he is both a double agent to Gao and to Lin. I thought it was really well done. I don't know what your thoughts on Shabnam at all.
Shabnam, and again, it's been a while since we watched the first couple episodes. I feel like he's not as present in this as he is in the comics. But when they do have him on, they're always establishing that he is like listening and watching.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think they kind of intentionally did that. Like they don't give him a presence on purpose, because even the kids at King's Dominion think of him as invisible, and he plays that to his advantage. And I really wish we saw that play out in other seasons. Knowing what we know, sucks. But yeah, that's what I say on Shabnam. I really liked his character a lot, and the actor did a good job from what we've seen of him. Victor's really good. Well, I don't know, because again, he doesn't look like how he does in the comic. I mean,
he's got that square jaw. He just needs the bulk. He
just needs the bulk to help. Not saying that he isn't cut. He is, obviously, because we see him butt ass naked in that part. But I wanted to see this man massive. I wanted him to see him be Aki.
Yeah. One thing I really liked with Victor though is that he's not an antagonist all the time. Like there are scenes where he's still like an asshole, but where he's just chilling in the room with like the other boys, like hanging out.
That's true, but also he does get some really cool. There's one moment I can think of, in that breakfast episode where he's like, him and Petra are bleeding out, and they're like, trying, because they got stabbed by the Kuroki, by his cousins. Like when Petra do share his origin with him. They kind of have a bit of like a somewhat connection, and you kind of can see that like Victor is he a bad dude? Sure, but he isn't. But he is also just a kid, just like everybody else. It's not just a tank that just wants to kill things, So I do like how they managed to showcase his sensitive side, even if it was just a little bit, Yeah, but What else? Let's see, just real quickly. Petra, we already talked about her, but love Petra in this. Love how she's more weaved in with the friend group in this than she is in the comic. Love to see that, like, I think the actress her name's crap. I'm gonna look her up because I want to give her flowers too. Because I thought she did a really good job. I thought she did a really good job. With her interactions with the characters. I love her her episode that was more focused on her when she goes to that school dance, the school dance, the legacy dance for the first time, and obviously gets I think it was an homage to Carrie. I don't know if it was you, but the fact that, like, you know, she gets pranked by Brandy and the other legacies, and basically to humiliate the rat because it's a tradition that they do at King's Dominion, which they had a nice little detail that they added. But I do love the fact that, you know, Petra, you know, is she a goth girl? Of course. Is she you know, is she smart? Is she cunning? Is she clever? Yes. Is she you know, kind of closed off at times? Yes, because she's a goth girl. But does she have her moments where she ends up being a little sensitive and empathetic and also kind of vengeful? You know, I think I Petra is for a side character, is a very layered side character, and, you know, like an onion, she has different aspects to her that make that character shine for me. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. What are your thoughts on any other more thoughts you want to add to Petra?
Nah, she killed it. I don't know. I like Petra.
Yeah, she's really good in this, and I think they do a good job making me care about her a lot more earlier in the story than they do in the comic, and I really appreciated that. And the actress' name is Taylor Hickson, and she's, again, Taylor Hickson, flowers. You deserve it. Like, I think you did a good job. She's also on a show on FX on Freeform called I think called like Motherland, something like that. It's like a witch show that was on Freeform that I'm gonna watch because I did like that. Yeah, Motherland Fort Salem, which ended last year. So you want to see more of this actress? I heard she does a really good job on that show. And just real quick, Lex, cool with Lex. I mean, he's pretty much the same in the comic, but we do get to see more moments with him and Billy and how he interacts with, you know, him, Billy, and Petra, and his thoughts on, you know, the world and on Kings, and what he thinks of, like, Marcus and the other character. I think is really cool. Brandy, actress who plays Brandy, her name's Siobhan Williams. Does a really good job, even though she's a minor. Does a really good job being a racist bitch. And I just love that a lot. It's really well done, especially that moment where when she takes a liking to Gao and basically convinces Gao to change the grade of her fighting teacher by carving a fucking A into his forehead. Ridiculous, wild. I love that. But yeah, I can't say I like Brandy because, you know, she's literally a white supremacist, but I did think Siobhan Williams did a really good job playing that character accurately to a T, and I thought it was really good. I don't know what your thoughts are on Brandy real quick, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, out of all the characters, Brandy is still the least likable because it's hard to make a blatant racist likable, but
exactly.
For what's here, I think they give her as much, like, character as you really can without starting to make it weird, you know?
Exactly. But yeah, I thought she did a really good job. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. Miss Luca, real quick, she's just hot, and I love her. No, I think Miss Luca's a lot of fun. She's a fun character, especially like the way even though we don't really get to see her a lot, her interactions, you know, with, you know, how she teaches her class, that was really well done. Especially that moment that she has with Billy is hysterical. I think it's so funny. And, you know, she's low-key a girl boss, and I wish we got to see more of her in later seasons. In later potential seasons. I don't know what your thoughts on Miss Luca. We'll move on.
I don't really have any thoughts on her. She's cool, I guess.
All right, then we'll just. Yeah, she's cool, I guess. Do really wish I had. I also wanted to say I really like the teacher, the fight teacher, the Jersey tracksuit guy. I love him a lot. I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, all right, I'm moving on. But yeah, Chico, we were talking about Chico with Maria, but Chico does a really good job. Michelle Duvall does a really good job. Being a really good, sensitive yet assholey cholo character. He's really cool. He does a really good job with what he's given. And yeah, all I gotta say. So yeah. So that's all I really have in terms of the character stuff. So yeah, Rebecca. So now we're gonna get to.
Are we forgetting a big one?
Are we forgetting a big one?
The villain of the series.
Oh shit! Right. I'm sorry. I forgot. Putting the banner back on. Yeah, Rebecca. Thanks for. I totally forgot to add a slide for him. Holy shit, that's bad. But yeah, Rebecca, what did you think about the villain of this fuckface, Chester? Marcus's nemesis.
I thought his actor did a fantastic job. He was very entertaining to watch. In some ways, he's a little less blatant about what he's doing, but he's still, very graphic. You still get they're nailing the point that he's into animals and disgusting shit and all that,
Oh yeah, 100%. They don't shy away from it at all.
I think his relationship with Marcus, especially at the ending of this, is really interesting. Can we get into the ending a little bit with this too?
Go right ahead.
The ending of this, they change it a little bit when he has that final confrontation with Marcus after all the main action is over. They go to this talk show set up for his serial killer tapes. Mm-hmm. And they have this whole conversation about how Chester, when he was in the boys' home, that's when he was the happiest, and he thought of Marcus as his friend, even though he blew his face up.
That's true.
And it's kind of a strange moment because Marcus says, we could be friends and you could come back to my school and you'd like it. And Chester's like, yeah, I would like that. And then Marcus hits him with a brick and runs away. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I do like the fact that even after all the fucked up shit Chester does, the bestiality, murdering a bunch of children at a boys' home, kidnapping Shabnam's parents, which was that was an interesting change they did. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And also, rewind the tape, it gives Shabnam more of a reason to hate Marcus because Marcus's bullshit got his parents killed. Which again, I thought would have been a great way to tie into Shabnam's arc if they did later seasons. But yeah, man, I thought that was a really well done change. And also the fact that they wanted to I think one of the big changes is the fact that they don't really change, but they go more in depth with it. That his admiration just to be a famous serial killer because that's his apparent quote unquote dream is to be a famous serial killer. I love how they just egged on to that as a part of his character and hammed it up a lot more. Because in the comic it was a brief page reference mention and that was it. So I love that with his character a lot in this. The fact that he's obsessed with Donahue and just want to be on TV as a murderer and how he tries to get his inbred Hick family involved and I thought that was awesome and well done. And yeah, no, the actor who plays him, I have all the cast looked up. Tom Stevens, that's his name, did a really good job. Like you said, great job with all the aspects. The sadisticness, the craziness, the zaniness. The wackiness, the empathetic moments, especially towards the end of the series, I thought it was really well done. And while I was looking up this image, I saw a video that I'm probably gonna link maybe as well. But it's a little interview that he did with AfterBuzz, the Tom Stevens, about how we got into the character of the character of Fuckface. So yeah, if anyone wants to check that out, go check that out. But yeah, thanks, Bregan, for reminding me. I completely forgot about Fuckface. I shouldn't have, but I did. But yeah, I don't know how to say. He was a great. They did him a lot better in the comic and made him a really good antagonist for the second half. I'll say because he has a looming presence throughout the first half.
Yeah.
The second half.
Anytime he's on screen in the show, it is memorable.
Exactly. It make damn sure you never forget it.
Yeah, for better or worse, it's a memorable performance.
Exactly. And also, real quick, you know what this actor looks like in real life without the makeup?
No.
I'm gonna show you a picture real quick. This is going to be a reveal, people, because wow. I was looking at pictures. I'm like, this is like Heath Ledger territory. It's crazy of a transformation that this actor took to be this character. This is what Tom Stevens plays Fuckface looks like in real life. He's hot. What is this? What is this? What?
Yeah, he's pretty.
Look at this man. It's literally night and day. The transformation he takes. And I bet he's a nice gentleman in real life. But he's a nice dude. And yeah, that's wild. So good on you, man. Tom Stevens, you get your flowers. That's incredible. But yeah, that's okay. Now we're done with the character stuff. But yeah, Rebecca, now we're gonna go to the sad stuff. So obviously, people that don't know, people that haven't noticed by now that we've done from this video. Yeah, so unfortunately, a couple a month or two after the show finished its first season in March of 2019, Syfy decided to cancel the show, and it breaks my heart. But I'm not gonna do the Syfy rant yet. We're gonna be talking about the stuff that unfortunately we're never gonna see because of the cancellation. And
this is just Mikey's prepared rant.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm just gonna go into it because I'm pissed, people. I'm royally pissed because it sucks because we literally because we'll talk about the ending and all that stuff too. But yeah, just the ending real quick. So we obviously got the introduction to El Diablo. Alma El Diablo showing up. He showed up in I think like 2 episodes prior before seeing him at the end. But they do the ending from the second volume where Marcus and Maria walk out of Fuckface Manor and they conveniently walk out with Chico's head in hand and El Diablo running into them, meeting them at the other side, and being like, and what did he say, Rebecca? He's like, I was gonna ask if you found my son, but from what I can see, you already did. And then and we see Lex get freaking shot, and it's just like, whoa! And then that's how the show ends. So the fact that one bullet point that we're never gonna see that shit play out hurts my soul, and I'm just like, what? We're never gonna see the fight between El Diablo and Maria and Sue. We're never gonna see that chase scene where we see Chico's sadistic Lobo inspired brother come through and just fuck shit up. We're never gonna see that at all, and it sucks. And I've seen David Zayas in other stuff before. He's a really good. If you don't know him, he's more known for his role in Dexter. He was a main character in the show Dexter. People have watched the show Dexter. Really talented actor. And it's just damn. I wanted to see what he was gonna do as El Diablo. We got a little bit of a taste because he also voice acted the role of the character in the animated sequence where we saw Maria's backstory. So there's that. But I want to see more of that ruthlessness of Alma El Diablo, and we're never gonna see that shit. Also, the fact that we got a little hint of Saya's backstory within the Breakfast Club episode because Saya's cousins, who are part of the Kuroki in Japan, come to try to take her away, which was a change that they did from the comic, Rebecca, if I'm not wrong. And I love that a lot. So the fact that they were teasing stuff about of Saya's past coming back to haunt her, we're never going to see Saya's origin in this. Also hurts. Also, the fact that towards the last 2 episodes, we talk about how Lynn talked about and they've been peppered throughout the whole season, but Lynn showcasing her relationship with Lynn, and how Lynn was talking about how how important it is for Saya to graduate, and how Lynn made a promise to Saya's father before he died that he would protect her at all costs and treat her as his own daughter throughout her course at King's Dominion. Was great. So yeah, we'll never see this set, Rebecca. We'll never see this shit. We're never gonna see Saya in Japan. We're never gonna see Kenji. It's just we're never gonna see. Oh God, it's just
anything that happens in the rest of the book. We're never gonna see.
It sucks. It sucks so hard, man. And I'm gonna keep going. I got more shit because some of the new stuff that they do in this show that I really want to fucking see, we'll never fucking see. For one, we do find out that which they kind of do it a lot earlier in the show they do in the comic, but Marcus kind of finding out a little bit of kind of getting a relation. It makes no sense why him and Billy and Petra and Lex are even still attending the school because Billy's dad is dead. No one should be paying his tuition. Marcus isn't even paying tuition. What is going on? So the fact that they're giving hints to the final exam, to the freshman final exam, and the fact that the professor, the poison teacher, when he has a conversation with Lynn, talks about they referenced the freshman exam, and obviously as the audience, we don't know what they mean by that. So the fact that we're never going to see the onslaught is just ridiculous. We're never going to see the battle royale ensue. Like, literally, they do battle royale. That's what they did in the comic. Is the movie battle royale. So it's just it sucks. The stuff with Gao, and and so obviously like Gao taking Lynn's daughter, but the fact that the whole mention with Gao and the guilds. Who is the guild? Because Rebecca, they didn't do the guild in the comic. That seems like a new stuff for the show. So the fact that they're pretty much doing like a John Wick type of deal with like an actual like bigger assassin universe outside of the school, I think was so good. Such a cool concept. And the fact that we're never seeing that either sucks. It sucks. Oh God, it hurts. And also the fact that we're never gonna see, the new Deadly Class, which from what I would think about, from the first 2 volumes was season 1. We're probably gonna do the next 2 volumes in season 2. So the 3rd season would have, basically had Marcus killed, quote unquote, Billy killed, Willie killed, Saya, obviously dealing with the loss of her friends and having her sophomore year, dealing with the trauma as well as being a part of the new Deadly Class with the new freshmen that come through. So we're never gonna see Zinzele, we're never gonna see Quan, we're never gonna see Gunther, Helmet. We're never gonna see all of these characters. It sucks. And stuff like that. So yeah, Rebecca, I'm done. What are your thoughts on any of this? Like, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that this ends on a cliffhanger, and it is a good cliffhanger. But knowing that we're not getting anything else, and it's been enough years that we can say confidently that we're not getting anything else, it's disappointing just because it doesn't feel narratively complete. Like, you don't end on a place that feels like an ending. It ends feeling like there needs to be more.
Exactly. And again, from a narrative perspective, it makes sense why they ended it that way. It gives you wanting more. It gets you excited because what comes to town, what like some of the stuff that were cooking throughout the whole season. But like the fact that it got canceled, you're just like, damn, it hurts. And it is like, how many sci-fi shows have done that? Like, in their track record, they've done it so many times, and it's just like, damn. Like,
yeah, I think this is your next slide, but getting into that a little bit, I feel like this being on Syfy or just in cable in general hurt the show. I think if this was on Hulu or Netflix, it would have been much more successful. I think it would have had that 2nd season just because you would have had eyes on it. And I think if Umbrella Academy could get 3 or 4 seasons out of Netflix, this could have easily done the same thing.
Exactly. And yeah, you know how Umbrella Academy is going, so I feel like.
Well, isn't that canceled now too?
No, it's still going. It's the next season's their last season, so. And last season was shit. But anyway, yeah, it just sucks. And I'm actually gonna pull up an article real quick. It was from Comic Book Doc. I think it's from Comic Book Resources. Yes, from CBR. That was published back in September of 2019. About what we could have gotten from a season 2 of Deadly Class. And I'm gonna just share it real quick, and we'll kind of just run through it together real quick, if you don't mind. But yeah, so basically the article was like, 10 questions that will never get answered now that Deadly Class is canceled. So we'll just run through real quick. So one is number 10, Marcus and Maria's romance, how that's going to be going moving forward, because obviously, Maria was basically at the end of the season was like, yeah, fuck you for cheating on me, fuck you for thinking that like you had to be with me just because you thought I was a crutch. Yeah, so we're never going to see the aftermath of their relationship, even if the relationship even continues. So that was one thing. Number 9, how's Lex? Because we didn't see Lex. We saw Lex get shot. We didn't see him die. So like, it's just like,
all the Lexians out there holding on hope all these years later.
Right? Like, they could have changed it to be like, yo, maybe Lex may have survived. Who knows? And Lex was a lot more likable in this season. So, I mean, there's that. Number 8, Where did the Scorpio Slasher go? Again, another character that I loved, the Scorpio Slasher. Thought he was a great character, and also he just disappeared at the end of this in the show out of nowhere. So like he might just be walking around killing more people. We never know. Number 7, Master Lin's daughter. Obviously, we talked about a little bit ago about like what entails Master Lin's daughter's fate now that Gal has her and the guild has her. So there's that. Number 6, no redemption for Saya. What does it mean by that? What does it mean by that? What that means by that? Huh?
I don't know. I don't feel like Saya really needs a redemption at this point, so I'm not sure what they're talking about there.
Yeah, I'm not really. They in terms of Saya not being there to protect Lin's daughter like he asked her to. Yeah, that's what I think maybe that's what he means.
Okay, I forgot about that. So whatever.
Yeah, the redemption in terms of Lin, in terms of her redemption in Lin's eyes, because she has respect for Lin. So there's that. Let's see. Number 5, Maria and Saya's relationship. What's going to entail of that? Because obviously, Maria being bipolar and a little crazy, she pretty much wanted to beat the shit out of Saya when she found out that she slept with Marcus. And how was that going to affect her friendship? We'll never see that. Number 4, where's Willie go? Where did he go? Where? We're assuming LA, but like we're never gonna see him. We're never see the aftermath of him leaving Kings and leaving his friends behind, and it sucks. Is that number 3? Where's Brandy and Victor? I mean, yeah, last time we did see them, they didn't get trapped. Lin kind of fucking closed them in his office after they like got ambushed by a bunch of. No, they didn't ambushed. The freaking people that were Gal's furniture decided not to stand still anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. They were just kind of there.
No, they were furniture. They were part of their production design, which I thought was kind of crazy, and just like a really good way to make sure that to showcase how crazy and sinister Gal was as a character. But like, where's Victor and Brandy? We will never know. Number 2, the toxicology teacher. We never really see what happened to him after. That's right. He just kind of disappears. We don't see anything since. So there's that. It's good. Nice loose end. And number 1, Marcus's plan. The fact that he wants to
kills Reagan.
we never see him kill Reagan. And honestly, we can't answer that now because we're only halfway through the comic right now, so we won't even know if he will actually kill Reagan or not. But yeah, will he actually meet his goal? We will never know. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just like, damn, it's a lot of loose ends, and especially obviously Shabnam's role in this. We never see him, be the top dog at the school. We're never gonna see that shit. It's a lot, and it's upsetting. But all right, so now we're gonna go into more of the information stuff. So why was the show canceled? And this is gonna be the actual sci-fi rant now. All right,
the second one.
So the second sci-fi rant. So the reason why the show was canceled, Rick, you want to take a wild guess why the show was canceled?
Because it was on Syfy.
Yes, but but why was the show canceled?
Because no one watches Syfy in 20.
Exactly. No, it's just not really that. So in all seriousness, the reason why the show got canceled is low ratings. The show, no one really tuned into the show. That's because not a lot of people knew about the show coming out. Well, specifically, not a lot of people in the U.S. Not a lot of people outside the U.S. knew about the show because I'm gonna screen share real quick. We're not gonna watch it, but there's a cool video that I watched a couple years ago when the show got canceled that this guy made. This YouTuber made. He goes by the name of Forgot to Grow Up. He made this. I'm putting this up now so y'all can probably watch it on your own time. But he made this really cool video about why sci-fi shows keep being canceled, and he puts in the thumbnail the show Z Nation that was on Syfy for a while, Night Flyers, which got canceled after 1 season, Deadly Class, and the show Happy, which had 2 seasons and got canceled at the same time Deadly Class did. And he basically goes into the details of how Syfy runs the network and all that stuff. So after watching this video, he basically made a couple points that I want to highlight. 1, Syfy only airs in the US. It doesn't air internationally. So only people who have access to the Syfy channel, only people in the United States, which hinders it in terms of viewership. And the way Syfy works is that obviously it airs in the U.S., but and airs a season of a show in the U.S. Once that season is done, they license that show to Netflix to stream internationally. So basically, like, if you're in, like, stuff like Canada, the some place in Europe, Africa, so on and so forth, you can watch Syfy shows outside of the US on Netflix, as a Netflix original show, after they air on Syfy, which is a part of the problem, because shows like networks like ABC, like CBS, NBC, the big networks, and Fox, they obviously have their viewership not only in the US but outside the US, internationally. So they bring in a lot of numbers, each week an episode airs on television. And when you only restrict a show only into the US, it hinders its viewership drastically. And the fact that you license a show after it's run to Netflix, you only get viewership numbers, like, especially when the show gets an audience on Netflix. Netflix viewership numbers isn't going to be a part of shows network numbers in terms of tracking. So if a network wants to give a Syfy show another season, they're only going to rely on the Syfy channel numbers, which again are going to be low to begin with and not show promise, rather than the Netflix numbers, which will probably skyrocket because it's going to bring a new audience to the show. And the thing is, it's interesting because it's like, because it's licensed Netflix, the show's going to be delayed. It's going to be delayed internationally, where the press for the show is already be done because because it's done in the US. You know what I'm saying? So there's going to be a delay, and also it's going to affect your viewership numbers because the numbers aren't going to go to the actual network itself. It's going to go onto Netflix due to streaming. So there's that, which is the reason why Deadly Class got canceled, as well as Happy, which got canceled at the same time Deadly Class did, and that show only had 2 seasons. And it's a problem with Syfy as a whole, because this has been their model for a long time, especially when
it's a problem with Syfy, but I think especially at the time too, and we still have this problem now. It's shows don't want to invest in, or I should say, channels don't want to invest in shows that take more than 1 season to gain an audience if something isn't like a successful hit, especially for cable, let alone streaming, where we think this happened just as much. Like, if you're like a cable / app, like channel specific app only, you're not going to get as many eyes on it as you would Netflix or Hulu or whatever. So I don't know if they have a different measure for success at Syfy, but they can't really compete the same way those big streaming services can in terms of viewership in the present day.
Exactly. And thing is, like, especially around the time, like, if Syfy actually, like, branched out and did actually branched out into the international market, would Deadly Class still be running for a little longer? I personally think so, because the viewership would be a lot bigger, and it would show that, like, yeah, the numbers are decent, people want more of the show, we'll give it to them. But because of that,
I'm very surprised that this didn't get at least a 2nd season before it was canceled.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you get Happy a 2nd season, not saying Happy was a bad show, Happy was pretty good, and it's also based off a comic book by Grant Morrison, which we may do on the channel one day. But it's just like I feel like they could have just given another chance to see what that turnout would have been like, But and it sucks, because another fun fact, Rebecca, real quick, is that Deadly Class was canceled right when Rick Remender was already writing season 2. So it's even more of a stab in the gut for him, especially the fact that he was already in the midst of writing a season 2, like hoping that it was confident enough that it would get a 2nd season. But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't the case. So he already had a script in the works, which sucks. And yeah, it's just like, and this has been a problem for Syfy for years. There have been really good shows that Syfy has done that, unfortunately don't make it past 2 seasons or even past 1 season. But yet there are shows that Syfy has done which are good, that have have only had limited runs, which they cancel. But Syfy has a problem with investing in bad shows and sticking with them for too long when they could have been, when they should have been focusing on their actual like good quality content. Like Z Nation sucks. The Magicians is kind of mid. And those shows had 5 seasons. Like it just makes no sense to me. But like shows like Alphas, which no one remembers, and it is the best X-Men show ever made, got only 2 seasons and got canceled. Shows like I'm trying to remember their filmography, but they've had a history with that, which is why I fucking hate Syfy, because they're willing to give more of their bad content more time to shine than their good content, and it just sucks.
Well, the thing about their bad content is it doesn't have a budget, so they don't have to take a lot to produce it. And their only like good modern show that I know of is Chucky, which A, is an established property that people already love, and B, was also dual casting on TNT or whatever.
Oh, was it? Yeah. So, and I think it's also on Peacock and stuff too, because Syfy is owned by Comcast, which owns NBC. So
yeah, but fun fact, you can't watch Deadly Class anywhere but Netflix in the US, I believe, right?
Yeah,
not Netflix, Amazon Prime, but you have to like pay for it. It's not like a Prime Video. Whatever.
Yeah, you can only watch it on Amazon Prime. You could watch it on Peacock when around the time the app came out, but they took it off. I think you actually could watch Deadly Class. I think last year they made Deadly Class available on Amazon Prime for free, so I was watching Deadly Class on there too, for a little bit until they took it off. I think you can still watch Deadly Class outside of the US on Netflix still. I don't think that's going away anytime soon. And it sucks because Rick Remender tried his hardest, as well as the other cast members, to shop the show around to other networks. He probably went to other networks, probably went to other streaming services, and they just didn't want to pick it up. And I don't know why, because this show's really good. And it's just, it sucks. I think personally, if I were to give Deadly Class a new home, I'd put it on Amazon Prime. I think it worked best on Amazon Prime, to be honest with you. Not on Netflix. I don't know, Rebecca. What do you think? What would be a good place for a Deadly Class if they miraculously, hypothetically, brought it back? What do you think they would be a good place for it?
I think Prime would give it more of a budget, but I think more people would watch it on Netflix.
More people watch it on Netflix? Okay, yeah, I think it would work. And I think it is a hit, because I remember like when they brought it back in the international market on Netflix, it was on the top 10 for a little bit, and I don't know, it just sucks. Like part of me wants, if there is, wants the show to get like momentum again, so like maybe someone could pick it up, but I doubt it because it's been too long. It just like, I don't think it's been too long, and it's not gonna, But overall, people, Syfy sucks, and it just, they've had a track record of getting rid of all their good content too soon, while it's had a lot of potential to cook and it's just like, again, it's the way it's their format in terms of how they run their shows, how they market their shows, and it's a detriment to not only Deadly Class but the other shows that they've had in the past that had lots of great potential and that they've squandered, and it is what it is, and it's just sad, and it sucks because I want to see more of this show, but I don't know if it will happen. But all right, Becca, last thing we're gonna talk about real quick. I'll talk before we start closing things off and doing final thoughts and all that. But what's the future of Deadly Class? Real quick answer. There is no future. This show's never gonna come out. This show's never gonna get picked up for a second season, because it's been too long. He shopped it around. No one wants it, so it's just there to collect dust, and it sucks because not a lot of people know about this show still, due to the fact that it was on Syfy. And I do think it would be better if, like, they did the whole Chucky thing where they did kind of dual formatted to be on Syfy and on TNT. I think TNT would also be even if it was on.
I think if this was on AMC, even it would have done better.
Exactly. So yeah, unfortunately, the show has just, I do think though it is kind of it's kind of a cult classic because there are fans of the show still that did enjoy, that did love it, and I think I think maybe some of the cast members still talk about it on occasion, and their experiences on the show. Especially except for the guy who plays Marcus, he just wants to leave it all behind him because he's just like he's just he's just heart. Honestly, I feel like all of them are all heartbroken because they all put their A game. Not only the cast, but the crew and the production team behind it, and the writing. I just think it just puts salt in the wound. But I still think I consider it a cult classic among Deadly Class fans of the comic, and also just like people who did find the show and did enjoy it. Yeah, there's no future, but I mean that's why we're doing it on this channel, to get more people to check out the show, to get more people to to get more people in the audience, because it is a really good show, and you won't
watch the show. Just don't get attached.
Don't get attached, but watch the show. But I do want to there's two things you can do. One thing isn't gonna go anywhere, but the one thing you can do, I guess, just for funsies, because the show is dead, and I don't think it's ever gonna come back. But but Rebecca, were you aware that there is still a petition to save the show for season 2 that's still active somehow? It's still
is that it changed that? Oh yeah, there it is.
yeah. So there is a petition that on change.org that honestly has a good amount of signatures that I didn't expect the show to get. 25,000 signatures, and the number's still going up still, so slowly, but which proves that there's still an audience for the show. People still care about it and want it to move forward. Will Syfy or whoever will ever pick the show up? Probably not, because it's been Rebecca, do the math for me. It's been like 4 years.
It's been about 5 years. I read that it premiered 2018.
But no, 2019. So I think 3 years, 4 years,
4 or 5 years,
4 to 5 years. But you could just sign up for it for funsies. I did. So there's that. So if you want to go on change.org and do that shit, you can.
If they get 35,000 signatures, they are legally required to bring it back.
That's true. So maybe there is hope, people. But also I want to real quick say that I do think that if they could bring the show back, they could just start right where they left off, because the actors are still that age range where are they a bit older now? Yeah, but they still look young enough where they could still play these teenagers. So not just me personally. I think they can still come back and still resume like normal if they could bring the show back. But Rebecca, do you want to know what the best way is to showcase the future Deadly Class? It's pretty easy. Because we're kind of doing it right now.
Read the comics.
You bet your ass, Rebecca. Yeah, people, if you want to support Deadly Class, you want to show that you want to make sure, recommend that you actually care about this series and care about this property. It's simple. Just read the comics. That's all we ask. Just read the comics.
Or watch us reading the comics.
Or exactly. Or just watch us read the comics, people. And just talk about it. I'll even do it better. I'll even screen share the link where you can buy these comics at a really good price. Go on In Stock Trades. They have pretty much everything, from the volumes to the deluxe hardcovers, everything. We want you to support, even though obviously it's too, the show is long gone, and even though we would want to come back, I don't think it's going to happen. But the best thing you can do is just, support the comic book, support the series. Anyway, you can buy the volumes, buy the compendium that's coming out, because I don't know if you saw, Rebecca, but that compendium looks gorgeous, and I'm probably going to buy it. Because
also, pro tip, if you don't want to spend money on these comics, if you have Libby, which is a library book app, you can support your local library too, and read those books digitally on there.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Yeah, do that as well. And also just, go on Rick Remender. Do us a favor. Go on Rick Remender's IG or social media and just give him a nice little shout out on how much you like the comic, and just give him some love, because him and Wes Craig both deserve it. And yeah, so there's that.
Go to Syfy and send them hate mail.
Yeah, go to Syfy and just send them hate mail and all that stuff because they deserve it, because they're a terrible network that should have died a long time ago after they started doing all this bullshit. But yeah, so Rebecca, overall, just like final thoughts. What are your thoughts on Deadly Class? Final thoughts and final verdict. So what are your thoughts on Deadly Class, and what would you give it out of 10?
Final thoughts, between the first 2 volumes of the comic and this, I prefer this adaptation. I think it improves upon what's already pretty good in the comic, and it's a very enjoyable show. I'd probably give it 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, that's fair. For me, I haven't talked about the show enough. I love this show a lot. It's one of my favorite comic book shows out there. I think it's very underrated due to the fact that, like, even though it was on Syfy and not a lot of people watched it, it is it's phenomenally crafted in terms of like the writing with the actual comic book writer, the creator, on top of the scripts, but also in terms of the actors who are casted being perfect for these roles, practically walk off the page. The production design, how they built the world, is so accurate, and the fact that we're able to basically enhance the source material. Like Rebecca said, I personally think the first two volumes, it's a lot better than the comic. Well, it's a lot better than the comic due to the fact that it gives us more time to care about these characters, care about the world. And I give it an 8 out of 10. Does it have its problems though? It does have its problems, but I think it's more small things and nitpicks. But I think a lot of the stuff shines throughout characters, the casting, the performances, the writing, the production. I think it's great. And to everyone who worked on the show, you guys did a really good job. All the actors, like who we mentioned, were part of the cast. Y'all did really good jobs, and I really do think some of y'all who haven't done anything since Deadly Class deserve to do more, because you guys are very talented and deserve all the flowers that you got. And to Remender and Wes Craig, listen, at least you got your show, at least you got your thing in live action, which a lot of writers in comics can't say they did. So, and it turned out to be great. So, props on that as well. But yeah, overall, yeah, I mean, that's all I really gotta say. But yeah, so Rebecca, we'll just close out real quick. So yeah, thanks for everyone who are watching this, because we are recording this. We're gonna drop this probably right after, I think tomorrow, the next day after we record. But yeah, that's a fun episode, a lot longer than expected. But listen, I need to get this out of the way because we want you to support this show. We want you to support the comic books, and we want you to check our stuff out, because this has been a solid series, not as successful as Transformers, but people have shown interest in this, our Deadly Class podcast. To show again, there are people that like this property. So, fuck you, Syfy. But yeah, we really appreciate the support. Obviously we're gonna be taking a break from a break from Deadly Class, just to make more time for more content that we want to do, because we're gonna start doing more one and dones. Maybe do an interview or two. I got some stuff maybe lined up, but but so far, Rebecca, as a halfway point, how do you feel? You think you're enjoying it so far? Talking about Deadly Class?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said when we started, I've been wanting to read this book for a while, so I'm glad we're finally doing it.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so just be on the lookout for some of the new content we're going to be dropping. Some of the new stuff we're going to be dropping. Definitely do some one and dones. That's happening. I want to put a spotlight on some few things before we close out. Check out my latest recommendation I did last week, where I talked about the book Is Nana the Were Spider by a personal friend of mine, Greg Anderson Alice. Great book, and I want you to check that out. So check my little brief review there. Check out my reaction for the trailer for Invincible that I did. Invincible season 2, because that was a lot of fun. Check out Rebecca and Maddie's review for Barbie, and because I thought that was really fun review that they did as well. Check out our latest In the Corner After Dark, where we talked about Deadpool 3 and Guardians and Flash and all that other stuff. Check out the Miles clip that we dropped. Check out any of the Deadly Class episodes we've been dropping, because there's a lot. We did the first 5 volumes, 6 volumes, so you have plenty to catch up on. And we appreciate the support on that series as well as any of the other series that we've done. And yeah, people comment, like, subscribe. Have you watched the TV show? What are your favorite characters in the show? What are your favorite moments in the show? You want to hear it? And also click the notification bell when you want to know when we drop new videos. And yeah, people, as always, we appreciate the support. We're growing strong, and hopefully we keep growing more. And as always, get home safe, and we'll catch y'all next time. All right. Later.